So, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. It's always a pleasure, Anastasia.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure indeed for us to talk with you in Hankendi in Karabakh. And today's conference, organized by Air Center and other university, referred to the new realities, new changes in the global world. And I would like to start with the questions. How do you see this new global reality?
Well, it's a great question, and I wish I could answer it because, of course, every day we wake up under a Trump presidency and the whole global order has changed overnight. So it's dramatic changes at the moment. But I think that the changes to the global order, or if you like, the multilateral system, which was created after the Second World War, probably started happening about 10, 15 years ago. And maybe with the global financial crash in the West and China came out of it very well. Xi Jinping became president, I think, in 2013. And so suddenly had China in the world. China suddenly became a power in the world, and they started to become more and more assertive and started to offer, more of a kind of opportunities for other countries who have been following the Western model, but the Western market economy model didn't do well during the crash, and therefore maybe state capitalism was a better opportunity. So that I think there was a series of events that started to show actually the global system, the multilateral system, was starting to be undermined and starting to fracture. And then we've seen the rise of other big powers, of course, India and Turkey, and of course what Russia's now been doing. So I think that it's not just Trump, of course. I think this has been going on for some time. And it's, for us in the West, it's quite difficult to cope with because the whole world, the multilateral system really was built on Western ideals, if you like, and the Western approach towards politics and economics. And so, these new models and these other countries saying, actually, we don't necessarily want to follow your model. There's another model here which we want to follow. I think it's been quite difficult for the West to think about and cope with. But that's what's been happening. You've seen the multilateralism has been fading away a little bit. And then there's been the rise of two things, I suppose. One you might call multipolarity, so it's not just the Western model, but also as part of that what you might call minilateralism, where you have sort of smaller groupings of like-minded countries working together. So the organisation of Turkic states, for example, might be taken as an example of minilateralism. The BRICS as well, of course, just a small group of countries working together in a particular way. But I wouldn't discount multilateralism. I think global multilateralism, it still has its place. And Azerbaijan, of course, hosted COP29 just last year, and that was a classic example of multilateralism, where you have to bring together countries with completely different ideas and motivations and expectations together and come up with a result which will affect the future of the planet. So it's absolutely extremely important what Azerbaijan did. So multilateralism still has a place, but I think we have to see, alongside that there are other models, if you like, for the development.
It's a time for new models of multilateralism, let's say. And you already mentioned Azerbaijan, and today we are here in Karabakh. Therefore, it's good to know your understanding of the situation with the post-conflict reality, because being an ambassador, you could understand the situation from inside, and now coming here to the liberated lands, what is your vision of the situation and expectations from the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just being an ambassador, it's also the fact I was here during the 2020 conflict, so actually seeing what happened during that conflict. And also thereafter. So I think what has happened, and now it's really time to recognise the new reality and move on. And so it's it's wonderful to see that the two countries announce that they've now agreed all of the peace deal, which is fantastic news. And I know all Western governments were saying, quick, sign it now, and sort of make sure you sign it and sign that bit of paper before things change, because as we see at the moment, things are changing on a daily basis. But equally, I also, you know better than I do, that Azerbaijan said consistently over the last 2 years or so that, well, also there's the issue of the Armenian constitution. And I've spoken about that, of course, in terms of the Northern Ireland peace agreement and the change in the constitution of the Republic of Ireland. And then, of course, the other issue over the OSCE Minsk group. So, I recognise there are still bridges to cross, if you like, and then beyond that, of course, you've got the border delimitation and the whole Zangezur corridor issue. So, there's still a way to go, but it's been fantastic to see the progress so far. It's been fantastic to see the two countries actually sitting down and negotiating together. So I'm really optimistic, actually, about the future of this region. I think once all of that is settled and the peace agreement is signed, then the next step, of course, is to sort of promote true reconciliation between the peoples of the countries, not just a top-level agreement, but actually what it means for for the people of the country, and then promote regional cooperation, including also Georgia, and opening all the borders and transportation links and economic connections and things like that. So I think that, you know, this is really what's happening in this peace agreement really heralds, I hope, a bright future for all countries of the region, obviously including Azerbaijan.
Right, and one more question. In this new geopolitical reality, do you expect the United Kingdom to be more closely associated with the European Union countries once again, since the time Donald Trump initiated his new tariffs plan? Therefore, where is the perspectives, and do you expect Europe to become even more stronger?
Sure. It's not just the Trump tariffs. I think it's more to do with Trump attitude towards defence expenditure and NATO and Ukraine. That has been the driver for much closer British cooperation with the European Union on defence issues, defence and security. So that is very much happening, and the British Prime Minister has been one of the leaders in Europe, I think, along with President Macron of France, in actually bringing together, if you like, a sort of a coalition of the willing, if you want to call it that, to think about how do you come up with a peace plan for Ukraine, how do you provide that security reassurance that Ukraine needs in the event of any ceasefire deal and any peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia. So that's very much, you know, pushed all the European nations much closer together on the defence and the security side. And, you know, personally, I mean, I didn't vote for Brexit, and personally I don't think that, you know, Brexit is going to be revisited. However, there are a number of things which other things on the table where it kind of seems to me make a lot of sense that the United Kingdom and the European Union could be working much closer together. Whether or not that's true on kind of things like tariffs that you mentioned, because at the moment the tariffs applied by Trump to the United Kingdom are less than applied to the European Union. So, you know, we're kind of happy to be in a slightly better position than the European Union. But let's see how that goes. I don't see us rejoining the customs union in any short time scale. But certainly there are opportunities for the UK and the EU to work together more closely on the economic as well as the security side.
Well, indeed, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining our discussion.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.